Yeah, you already know what it is. Your boy Banz alongside Cristina. We are the Spark Up Podcast. What's going on, Cristina?
What up? I had the wrong button. Sorry, I was trying to get in order here.
What's going on?
Not much, man. This is our first Spark Up Podcast since I've been back from vacation. Spent
Tell
a
us
lot
about
of
your
money.
Vacation.
It's very interesting that that vacation. First of all, when we got there, I made a lot of mistakes in my 20s, and I'm paying for them now in my 30s, literally paying. I had a lot of credit card debt. Well, have still paying it off. So my credit is not king in my life. So when we got there, we had trouble getting the rental because I made the rental I made the rental reservation at the wrong place. And I was supposed to make it at the airport. Long story short, we got rejected like 2-3 times, different places. Took 2-3 Ubers back and forth in a place where we're unfamiliar with in Virginia. We were in Richmond. And then we ended up going back to the airport. And in the airport, I had no problem getting a rental. So that whole time, going back and forth was really for nothing. But it's fine because things got better. And it rained for the first 2 or 3 days. We were there for 5 days, but we made the best of it. We ate out a lot. We had great food experiences. We got to go to the beach. We drank a lot. I was drinking at like 12 in the afternoon, 11 in the morning, 5 p.m., 6. It didn't matter when, as long as there was liquor.
Vacay.
Yeah, I was on vacation mode. And you know what's funny? Because when you go on vacation, people think that you should stay up long, like in the wee hours of the night. We did the opposite. We went to sleep like 11 o'clock, 12, maybe latest, and woke up early to have a long, full day.
So you could actually enjoy where you're going to.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It was my first time in the South as an adult. And the people were so nice. All the white people were so nice. They all sounded the same. Like everybody had Southern accents and everybody was nice to us. Everywhere we went, restaurants, even walking into stores, people would greet you. Hey, how you doing? Kind of like in DR when people pass by and they say,
Primo, ¿cómo está?
Or they say saludo. Like wherever you go, you know, here in Rhode Island, people aren't as friendly anywhere on the East Coast, really. So it was quite of a bit of a culture shock, pun intended, because when we got there, we didn't know what to expect. And, you know, the people were nice. The food was good. Like everything just ended up better than we thought it would. I don't like to go on vacation with expectations only because you just never know. But
you shouldn't, just so you could enjoy, you know,
whatever comes. Yeah.
When you're anticipating things and you're, when's it's going to happen? You know, it never happens. You're like,
you get mad.
Yeah. You know, so
we went to restaurants. I will say this. So there's a big strip, Atlantic Avenue in Virginia Beach, where all the tourists go. Even people from Virginia go there to chill and hang out.
It's like a stair street, but
yes. No, it's like Broad Street.
Okay.
It's closer to Broad Street. Has a bunch of restaurants. I guess Thayer Street, whatever. No, everything looked like it was straight from like 1989, 95 latest. Like everything was old. It literally looked like, you know, when Tia Mayra used to live there, it looked like she left and time stopped. Like everything looks the same. Granted, everybody has nice houses and nice cars, but everyone dresses like old fashioned. Like, you know how the South is. It's very like they're behind with a lot of things. And even driving, I saw streets that were called like colonialism, plantation drive, like wild shit. I was like, this shit is crazy. But we ended up going to this, there was like 3 clubs on this strip. And the line for these, I don't remember the last time I got in line for a club because everything is by reservation here. Or I just know people and I get in. So standing in line was different for me.
You couldn't use the flex.
I couldn't text anybody. I couldn't
be like, yo, I'm outside. What's good?
I couldn't do none of that. Dang. But so we ended up getting into this one and everything was full capacity. So people were waiting outside for no reason.
The last time that I got in a line, I'm waiting in line. Somebody comes up behind me, taps me in my back. It's Jabron. Shout outs to Jabron. Aww. He goes, yo, what are you doing waiting in line?
Come on,
I got you.
It does not feel so great.
And everybody in the line was like, what just happened?
This guy, right.
You know.
They want to know who the hell you are. But yeah, so we ended up getting to this club, and the club was packed. And first of all, what I really love about the South is that the guys dance. Like, everybody was there dancing. You know, here is trap music. Everybody's throwing up signs and drinking, smoking hookah. Like, there was hookah in this place, but people were still dancing. They were, you know, they played all that, the songs that have dances to them. Like the Dougie, the
so everybody
whip.
was on their TikTok?
No, nobody was on their phones.
No, like, they were doing all the TikTok dances.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, TikTok, Vine, whatever it is. All the challenges were in the club.
Which one you do?
None of them. I was.
You're too old?
No, I was just feeling the vibe and like looking around, observing, taking it all in, settling in, because I'm not from there, so I had to feel it out first. And when you're with a woman who is curvaceous, things get a little interesting. So we were at the bar, right, the whole time. Nobody comes up to us. Nobody's disrespectful. Everybody's having a good time. People bump into you. Oh, sorry. Somebody stepped on. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, touching the small of your back. The guy at the door walks by Kia and he says, excuse me, baby girl. And I was like, baby girl, that's different. That was nice. It was a little too sweet. You know, whatever. Not going to let my insecurities take over. But then when we sat down at a table, this dude comes up to her and I see her whispering something in her ear. I'm like, whatever, you know, I trust Kia. It's whatever, it's nothing. And she just looks at me and like stares at me and I'm like, I can't fight for you. Like, I barely have muscles. So whatever it is. Try worst case scenario. Whatever it is this man is saying, I'm not saying that she's on her own, but we have to find.
So it was basically, you ever seen the meme where the guy it asks the question, what would you do?
No.
And it's like a big diesel dude.
But it wasn't an issue. So she looked at me and then the guy looks at me and he's like, oh, I didn't even realize that was your girl. I told her that I would suck her toes. And I was like,
that's different.
Excuse me? And he was like, no, yeah. He was like, no, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I didn't even know y'all were together. I saw two women together. I figured y'all were friends. And I was like, no, it's cool. Yeah, naturally, of course. And, you know, he was nice about it. We joked. And he was like, yeah, you know, because whatever you don't do, somebody else is going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, how you know I don't suck her toes? And he started dying laughing. He was like, you be eating this. Like, he was going crazy. And he made it a big joke. The whole time. And I was enjoying it. And he was like, yeah, you know, you got to be careful because I could take her. And I was like, no, you can't. Nobody can. And then he dapped me up and whatever. We made peace. But when we left, it started to sink in. And I'm like, damn, this is how niggas feel when they go to the club with their girls. Like, I don't think I'm capable of doing so.
Although a lot of dudes aren't walking up to your shorty with you right there.
Yeah, but I mean like the whole, like, I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet in maturity. Yeah, I realized that I learned that about myself because then this past weekend, we went to Eagle on Friday. Yo, Eagle was crazy. Eagle was so crazy. Okay, so for those of you that are not from Rhode Island, Eagle is the only gay club in Rhode Island. I think
you for real or that you know of?
No, it's the only gay club. There are gay bars in downtown.
But this is the only club. Gay bar.
No, like right? Club, like dance floor. You know, bar, gotcha, DJ. Gotcha. The other ones are just bars. There's no dance floor. Gotcha. People dance anyway, but. So there was a block party. I didn't know in downtown there was streets closed down for Pride. And so we ended up at Eagle Twerk Fridays and Ruckus DJs Twerk Fridays. And the line was at the front of the location and wrapped around like 3-4 blocks. Not even exaggerating.
Wow.
There must have been at least 5,000 people that showed up, if I know how to like do quick head counts. And when I got in, they boarded the outside. Well, they fenced the outside. So there was like 500 people inside, 500 people outside. Like, it was so packed and people were coming.
It was a movie.
It was, and you see the guys dressed like for the killing. I was like, yo, this looks like how you see it on TV. Like, the gays really came out. And Kia was feeling herself. And, you know, I just let her do her thing. But then that whole maturity came in, like, you know what? I think that we should club separately. Because then when you're dancing with other people, I get jealous. I can't help it. It's like,
yeah, but
I know you're having a good time and I know that I could trust you, but I just don't feel like my girl's ass should be on other people. Is that wrong? Is that crazy?
I mean, she's just dancing, technically.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. There's got to be some type of conversation between y'all.
No, there definitely has to have a conversation. And I have to check myself too, because I can't bring that type of energy to someone that's doing something innocently, you know? She was just having a good time. But yeah, so my vacation was great. This past weekend was great. Shout out to Ruckus. He's heated at me right now because when I saw that line and I heard the security guard saying, I heard the security guard saying, everybody, you're not gonna get in tonight. I'm telling you, like 1,000 people were turned down. People who had their fits ready for this day had to go home. And I was like, fuck that. Kia's inside already. I have to get inside. I was like, let me use my plug. I went to the security guard and I was like, where do I go in? Because I'm here with the DJ. And she was like, what DJ? And I was like, Ruckus. And she was like, okay, follow me. Then I'm going around seeing everybody in line. I'm feeling big, like, I'm about to get inside. I get to the door and they're like, oh, she said she's here with Ruckus. And they were like, oh, you got to ask the manager. So they asked the manager and he comes up to me. He's like, you're here for Ruckus? Are you sure? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, Ruckus doesn't have a list. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe he forgot. But like, he's not answering my phone. And then I text him, Ruckus, I'm getting in with your name. So he didn't see my message because he was busy. He was killing it. He killed it. And when I get in there, he says hi to me. And then it clicks. And then he's like, he gives me the dad look, and then he comes from outside the state, behind the thing to say hi.
Dennis the Menace? Dennis!
That was me. He came out from behind his deck to say hi to everybody and talk, you know, do his thing. And then he was like, I'm mad at you. And he kept walking. So I know I'm going to get cussed out the next time I see him. But it worked. And I got in and I had a great old time. But I also realized that, like, I'm not fit for the club anymore. Like, my back still hurts. One of my knees still hurts. Like, I can't even really go up the stairs. Like, shit's not as loose. Yeah. Gotta hit the gym. And I went to Sky Zone, and I was like, who does this?
Flipping.
No. The day after. So my body was really tore up by Sunday morning. I was like, you know what? This is for the youth. And I'm not quite young anymore. But that was my June so far. Very eventful June. How was your weekend, Banz?
Same. My weekend was
litty,
full with work.
I saw
Fun
you.
Work.
I saw
you. I went to boxing
Friday night.
CS boxing, which was a great turnout. Even though I baked in the sun, you know, they say we all like to say black people don't burn, but we do burn. So
yes, you do.
From me to y'all, make sure y'all get some SPF sunscreen. Did I say it right?
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, because today,
does it hurt?
It feels like I got scales.
Ooh, you gotta put aloe.
I did put a lot of it already.
It doesn't look bad though. It just looks like you got a mean tan.
But you know, if I touch my arm, it feels like sandpaper almost.
Goddamn. That's crazy. That's terrible. A lot of lotion, a lot of aloe.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun. Like, you know, every time I do the boxing thing, it feels like I'm in the fight. You know what I mean? Because I'm so close. My boy Victor was fighting. He won. He's out of Providence. Undefeated so far.
Reynoso?
Yeah, Victor Reynoso.
Dominican, baby.
And he went in there and did his thing. A few other fighters from Rhode Island for Gary Boletto Jr. A few other guys, I don't know their names, but it was a good eventful
and you also were at Juneteenth.
Yep. So look how my day worked out. Check this out.
Wait, before you get there, what's crazy is when we showed up there, because we were looking for something to do on Juneteenth. Like, I was like, we got to do something. We're Black. We got to celebrate. And we tried in Boston, and everything was full. So then we came here, and then Kia was like, where's Ruben? I'm surprised Ruben's not here. Like, he's not working this. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't spoken to Ruben since, like, Wednesday or something. Sure enough, they pops up your big head in the back.
Hey, look, I'm just trying to be around, do whatever I can, exposure, and
shout out to her on our ride too.
Shout
for
out
sharing
to Stan, which, I couldn't thank him. You know what I mean? It's just like, he's been putting me places.
I feel like he's passing the torch because he talked about retirement, like leaving that gig.
Nah, we got a lot of work to do. It's not over.
Okay.
With me around, at least all I can say is I'm not gonna let him do that right now.
It's
not time.
Yeah,
it's not time yet. But yeah, look how the day worked out. So CES Boxing, it's a full day event from 12 to like about 9 at night. But they have a recess so they can,
mingle.
Not mingle. Like everybody got to go home. If you had a ticket, you could come back to the stadium, and watch the other fights. But the main fights, they flipped it. Instead of having the main fights last, they had them first. Oh wow! I wonder why they did that. Because of, it was you wanna highlight your. And it was outside. You want to highlight your fights, and it's outside. Yeah, they wanted to get it so the people don't leave. Which in Rhode Island, that was the first fight since, I believe they said 1968 for outside the whole day. Interesting. So yeah, fight day they broke our intermission from like 5 to 7. So in between that time, I ran over to the Juneteenth parade and did my thing there. Wait, but the Juneteenth was on Saturday. Yeah, it was both on Saturday. Oh, you said Friday. Oh, my bad. On Saturday, and soon as that, I was like, okay, I'm good here. Hopped in my car, went right back to the boxing thing, and that was my whole day. Jeez. That's why I saw you guys rushing on. I'm like, where are these two big-headed dudes going? Yeah, Stan had to go do something else, and I had to go back to the boxing thing. So it was a busy, eventful day, and it was great. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, out here working. I see you. I like the environment because, you're in the mix. You're dealing with people. You're talking to people. Mm-hmm. For some reason, everybody's friendly when you hold the camera. Mm-hmm. So, especially a professional one. Yeah, but everybody's a lot more friendlier. And it gives you a different view of everything. Because now you're not thinking, I'm trying to have a good time. Now it's, I'm trying to have a good time, but I also want people to remember that good time. Right, you're capturing the moments. Exactly, and I got to see Rach perform. Yo, shout out to Rach and DJ Knockout, who she performed. I heard her. I was parking when she was performing, and then I caught the last 15 seconds of her performance, and she looked great. And she performed an unreleased song. I heard it. Sounds good. Pick a side, right? No, Pick a Side. No, Pick a Side is the one with Ty Dolla $ign. Okay. But I forgot the name of it, but it was good. Yes, and Rach, for those of you that don't know, is our highest
streamed episode to this day. I think like 500 streams, something like that. So
which to some might be like, wow, 500, but for people coming out of a small state,
us starting from the bottom, that's a lot of ears and plays for something. So thank you, Rach, for that moment. And go on.
And long story short, to wrap it up on my weekend, I just worked all weekend and enjoyed some of the warm weather.
It's crazy because I'm like thinking about, like, obviously we have the podcast in common, but we do things individually. And I gotta say, to watch you, I'm about to shed a tear. To watch you like be behind the camera I'm just so proud, because I think you found your bag. And after searching,
I have multiple bags though.
Yeah, but it's okay to have one specialty. I think that we come from a place or a time where it's okay to have multiple skills, but I think you have to be an expert at least one. Like Chris Brown, for example, he could dance, he could draw, he could do all this, but music is obviously his main gift because he never fails. So when I see you doing that, I'm like, wow, look at Banz.
But if you think about it, it's natural because of my mom. If you know my mom, she loves taking photos. Mm-hmm. Now that, I'm in the camera game and I'm like paying attention to how do I have this eye? Because, for me, it's like I'm starting to see it so easily, compared to somebody that is coming up,
and then with the more practice, you're just only going to get better. And you only have 2 years, technically, because last year don't really count.
No, 2 years with last year.
Oh, really?
It was in April.
Oh, wow. I thought it was
March.
one.
End of March is my anniversary.
Dope.
And, in 2 years, I've accomplished what some people doing, like, I want to say, like 5, 10 years.
All right, let's not get crazy.
Seriously. Like, I'm not trying to get big-headed, but, like, the advancement.
Okay.
Like, like I skip grades, basically. Not to showboat or anything.
But you are, and it's fine.
No, because I don't want to be that guy. I want to, like sometimes it's good to, let people know what you do. But that came really from my mom. Mm-hmm. Not thinking about it like, oh, take this picture. I don't like this picture. Take it again. If you think about it, it's all. But
we could all say that because all Dominican moms like taking pictures.
And a lot of some of the best Dominican photographers had to take pictures for their mom.
Shout out to Raul de los Santos, aka Arzinco, who's also
a great photographer.
Well. Yeah. And Rafiq's too.
You gotta ask him. Think about it. I guarantee that all our mothers have one thing in common, and it's taking photos.
Hey, whatever works.
And my mom's talking to me the other day. Oh, you should come to DR and do some work out there. And I'm like, Ma, I want to go out there, but I don't want to be there for a long time. I want to travel. I don't want to just go to another place and stay there.
Yeah.
I want to.
Oh, she wants you to live in DR?
Yeah. She was like, oh, you should come out here and live out here. I'm like, I don't know about that just yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do want to buy property out there, but
it's a good investment. So we had good weekends. It's been a very good June so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of the month. The PVD Fest is coming up. A lot of
stuff coming up. Tell us what you're doing.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you.
Coming up.
I'm hosting the Shenanigans return called Shenan Again. I'm very clever. Shout out to M2 and Brandon for that. I pressed the wrong damn button. And Mike called me he hit me up with some DJ gigs, but I had to turn it down because I'm not ready for that. But he hit me up for hosting. I was like, that I could do. So I'll be hosting that on July 24th. Tickets are on sale right now. You can find the link in my bio on Instagram, Cristina Sev _ CRISTINASEV. And it's from 3 to 6 p.m. Free food, games, prizes, music. You could bring your own hookah. It's outside, so obviously you could bring your little L too if you wanted to. And yeah, shout out to Brandon and Mike and Kenny for putting this on. It's gonna be a good night, a good day. And I was told not to call it a day party. It's a cookout vibes. We out here. Providence is back in the streets. The streets feel crazy.
Feels great.
It feels great, but it's scary at the same time. Too much energy outside.
I'm not gonna lie, like being around so much people kind of like brighten my whole week.
It feels good.
You know, just because I'm like regaining my energy. Like, oh snap! Like, was this all this positive? You know,
it's
just
a lot more positive than negative for sure.
Exactly. You know, you got your little.
There's always one or
pockets
two
of things that happen, but a lot of people have good energy right now, and you know, hopefully we could keep it that way.
It's so packed that on Saturday I went to this new hookah spot by Federal Hill. Really nice place. The owner was really nice. Hookah was great. And then we tried to go to Black Sheep after. Yo, they had people in Black Sheep packed like sardines. Like people were really hanging out the window. Like they open up, like their window's like huge. They open it up. People were hanging out the window. I think that they were celebrating DJ Ness going away because he's leaving. And I know he had a going away party at Revival. And I'm assuming that people were there because I saw Cruz out there and a couple people that he's always with that look familiar. And I'm like, damn. But Black Sheep was lit. It was so lit. They were playing Britney Spears and the place was like bouncing. Like literally the building was like, it was crazy. And then right down the block, the gay bar over there was jam-packed. It was crazy. Downtown this weekend was wild. And PVD Fest had a Juneteenth celebration in downtown, and Nasty DJ'd that. So it was a good weekend. Providence is shining right now. I love it.
I'm just like, yeah, like I'm just thinking about all the possibilities.
Soaking it in. I know.
Soaking it in.
I know. But so let's just get into it. All right. Welcome to the Culture Shock, where we talk all things pop culture, life, and society. And first and foremost, we have to shout out Sha'Carri Richardson, 21 years old, from Dallas, Texas. She just won the 10 millimeter race. She's going to the Tokyo Olympics. So shout out to her. And man, ever since, like, I've been watching clips of her, like, she just seems so dedicated. But first I want to run down this list because the race was full of black women. I don't know if it's been like this because I don't usually watch Olympics and track and fields and shit like that. So
I've seen a few, and I wouldn't say it's predominantly, but I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, I guess it's been a lot more diverse than I was aware of. But since we're in the spirit of being blackity black and embracing our blackness, the runners are Aaliyah Hobbs from New Orleans, Kayla White from Miami, English Gardner from Jersey, Gabby Thomas from Florence, Massachusetts. Shout out to Massachusetts. The star, as the commentator called her, Sha'Carri Richardson from Dallas, Texas. Javion Oliver, who was last year's winner from Georgia. Tiana Daniels from Orlando, Florida. Jenna Pradini, she was the only white girl on the line, from California. And Candace Hill from Georgia. And Sha'Carri Richardson went into this race saying that she's going to bring the U.S. back on top. We've had black winners win in track and field, but they've always been from outside the country, Jamaica, Africa. So she's going to be potentially the first U.S. winner for the first time, I think, since 1988, who was FloJo. She'll be going to Texas for the Olympics along with Tiana Daniels and Javion Oliver for the 100 millimeter race. And when this girl came in, she came in with headphones. She head nodded at the cameras, attitude, straight face. She came in like a killer and then killed it.
Face on.
Yo, yeah, that's exactly the word that she used. That's exactly the word that she used. And what I love about her is that
You couldn't read her emotions or anything.
Yeah, and not only that, but she just the average black girl. She came in with her orange hair, with her long nails, and she's 21 years old, and she has all this talent, all this spunk. And as soon as she won, she started yelling, "Stop playing with me. Stop." So you see everybody tweeting that on Twitter. She ran to her grandmother, gave her a hug, and just laid on her grandma. When I tell you I cried like a baby watching that, because I could feel the emotion of like you just dedicating everything to something and then accomplishing making it. And she also revealed that she lost her biological. She's so cute. She lost her look at her. She lost her biological mother last week, and she did it, man. And at the beginning of the race, it didn't look like she was gonna win. The girl who won last year, she looked like she was in the lead, but then she picked up speed towards the end, and it was just so incredible. And they show here all the girls at 3:05 a.m. Miami was outside. These are all the girls. I want you to see this race real quick. Like, look at her at the beginning. You didn't think she was gonna win. She's pointing to God, a woman of faith. And then boom, she's running, she's gunning. This is the girl that won last year. And then out of nowhere, she picks up all this speed and wins. And she went off. She was so happy. She was so excited. First thing she did was, let me go to my grandma. And then this is where we see her just fall into her grandma's arms, and her grandma's hugging her. Oh, I have goosebumps looking at this. Like, it's so beautiful. I know she's tired. She did like, I think it was 10:68 or 10:98, something like that. That's fast as hell. I couldn't even run 10 seconds to that door. Well, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. So yeah, she did it. She's off to the Olympics. Congratulations to Sha'Carri Richardson, the young 21. And speaking of track and field, Tiffany Haddish announced that she'll be playing Florence Griffith Joyner, aka FloJo, in the upcoming biopic. FloJo was a track and field athlete and fastest woman in the world in the 100 millimeter and 200 millimeter, and her record still stands. And she broke that record in 1988. She won 3 gold medals in the 1980 Olympics, and FloJo quickly became a pop culture figure due to endorsements, acting, and designing, and she died at 38. There were rumors that she was taking steroids and testosterone, and in 1988 she died for the cause. The cause of her death was epilepsy seizure, so she suffocated from having a seizure in her sleep. And in the autopsy, the only drugs found were over-the-counter drugs like Tylenol and Benadryl. So there was a lot of rumors that they were trying to sabotage her career because she was a black woman breaking records. And they made her get tests throughout the whole competition, and it came out negative every time. So they tried, but they did not conquer. And the USA Track and Field inducted her into the Hall of Fame in 1995. And a school and a street was named after her. And also she was an artist and a painter. So she had lots and lots of talent. Tiffany Haddish will be playing this legend in the biopic, and she's producing it. And alongside that, she's producing the documentary and a podcast based around this legend. So that's going to be dope.
I just seen Tiffany Haddish play a thug, and I forgot the name of the movie, but it's like it's a trippy movie. Like, it's about 3 friends that they get high, and
I feel like I heard about that movie.
It's trippy. I haven't watched the whole thing completely, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish is out here.
I seen her. I'm like, yo, this is Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah, she's gonna make it to where she has tunnel vision. She knows what she wants, and she's getting there. And she also is the host of a new show called Friday Night Vibes on TBS. This is new for TBS. So she'll be hosting kind of like a talk show, commentary type show in between 2 black movies. So they're going to play 2 black movies every Friday night starting at 7 p.m. And the first episode aired this past Friday, and Dion Cole from the 5-time Emmy-winning show Black-ish was the guest co-host. And she had Snoop Dogg and Miss Tina Knowles Lawson, Beyonce's mom. So shout out to Tiffany Haddish. She has a lot going on. And what we're watching is the blossoming of a future legend, because she's already the first comedian to almost have an EGOT. She has the Emmy, she has the Grammy. All she needs is the Oscar and the Tonys Award. And I think she's going to get there. I don't want to speak too soon.
But she's already a legend because she's made it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying,
you know what
but
I mean?
she's still in the midst of her career.
Like, if we're honestly speaking, we don't need to chase those awards to be a legend.
No, of course not.
I mean?
But they still count. They still count. So we got to give her flowers.
Of course.
And very proud of her. She's the first black woman comedian to win a Grammy since Whoopi Goldberg in the late 90s. So she's doing a lot of things. And a lot of people underestimated her, said that she wasn't funny, said that she wasn't going to make it. And literally after Girls Trip, she took off. And she's been doing all kinds of things. So
being consistent.
Shout out to Tiffany Haddish. And the last thing I have for the culture shock, I know there was a lot of things. Actually, no, I'm going to leave the messiness for last. So a musical film called In the Heights was released last week. The creator is Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is also the creator of Hamilton. Very, very, very successful Broadway play. And he also did the music for Moana. So he has quite the resume already. And he got backlash because people were saying that In the Heights didn't represent the actual Washington Heights. Like there wasn't any Afro-Latinos in the movie. There's 2 technically, Dasha Polanco, but she's light skinned, and Leslie Grace, the bachata singer. She was in it as well. But he got backlash, boy. People were boycotting the movie, saying don't watch it. The star of Dancing in the Rain, Rita Moreno, which is one of the first Latina artists in Hollywood, she was defending Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then she backtracked and apologized for being insensitive. And she said it's easy to forget other people's demise in the midst of celebration. And that's so true. But Lin-Manuel also put out a statement saying, see if I can pull it up. I started writing In the Heights because I didn't feel seen. And over the past 20 years, all I wanted was for us, all of us, to feel seen. I'm seeing the discussion around Afro-Latino representation in our film this weekend, and it is clear that many in our dark-skinned Afro-Latino community, emphasis on the dark skin because he does have Afro-Latinos in the movie, don't feel sufficiently represented within it, particularly among the leading roles. I can hear the hurt and frustration over colorism of feeling still unseen in the feedback. I hear that without sufficient dark-skinned Afro-Latino representation, the work feels extractive of the community we wanted so much to represent with pride and joy. In trying to paint a mosaic of this community, we fell short. I'm truly sorry. I'm learning from the feedback. I thank you for raising it, and I'm listening. I'm trying to hold space for both the incredible pride in the movie we made and be accountable for our shortcomings. Thanks for the honest feedback. I promise to do better in my future projects, and I'm dedicated to the learning and evolving we all have to do to make sure we are honoring our diverse and vibrant community. Siempre, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Do you accept his apology, Banz?
I mean, I don't think... Here's the thing. We all look at these productions from a viewer standpoint. You know, there's a lot of moving parts that go into a film.
That's a fact. And he's not the director, to be fair.
You know, and this is not me defending him, because there is a lack of representation of Black Latinos.
I mean, we've been
Afro-Latinos.
We've been in that area. It's predominantly Black Dominicans.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, how could you miss as well? Like, you know what I mean? In the same token, you're like, how could you miss that? Mm-hmm. Because I would say a 70% of Dominicans, they're darker skin.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So to misrepresent, I'm stumbling. To misrepresent Afro-Latinos like that, you have a lot of people on your team to look. However, that doesn't mean that, they could have had Black Latinos, Afro-Latinos try out for the part, but possibly wasn't as good.
Wasn't good enough. Yeah, and that's the discussion.
Ain't it like a
it's a musical.
It's a musical. Not everybody. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but there was not one black girl who could sing.
I feel like the boat in the middle of the river, and I'm waving the white flag, like, come help me, please. I don't know if I should help them or help myself, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a sticky situation. It's like, okay, I can see where you messed up, but also, what were the moving parts that ended up? Because it's not just him. There's a whole line of people.
Well, the director of the movie is John M. Chu, who's the same director as Crazy Rich Asians. So I can see how the lack of Afro-Latinos is not solely his fault, but he is the creator of this play, and it was very successful before that in New York City on Broadway. So
it's just that
they're bringing it to the big screen. Exactly. So I don't know. I understand. I'm trying to be fair because I understand what it takes for production. Exactly. But at the same time, if you do your homework and you saying you want to represent Washington Heights, like you say in your statement, then there should have been far more dark people in this movie. I mean, look at our family. Black Dominicans, they were raised not in the Heights, they were raised in Harlem, but that area is essentially all one big clump of Black Dominicans. So for you to just totally miss that part, it's kind of crazy. Like, the star of the movie, they should have been Black.
And especially in 2021, where we've been hearing someone like Amara La Negra say things like this. So I see where in that aspect, like, y'all are wrong for that. But also, we don't know what went into the production and who signed up to even try to be a part of the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We don't know. We don't know
the moving parts. So,
but I do agree that there should have been more Black people in this movie. So, I don't know. I trust Lin-Manuel Miranda, but Hamilton was full of African Americans, Black people. So I don't want to say that he's racist. I
feel like a lot of people are throwing the racist word.
Not even loosely. Racist, colorism is the word that was being used. Also, like, we're throwing that too, and it's being things around race and color has been being used too loosely. Like, not everybody is racist, not everybody is colorist. I think,
but we have a misconception of what that really is. A lot of us, and I'm not trying to defend or bash. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we gotta, instead of pointing fingers and being like, oh, outraged, let's try to see where this is the root of this. Let's try to get to and fix it.
And also,
we can't bash like someone that's apologizing too.
That's true, but also he's a light-skinned man. His perception is light skin.
Different.
You know what I mean? It's different. So, and that's our guest calling. His perception is different, and I understand. But I also understand the frustration of not seeing yourself on the screen. Especially when you imagine this, right? Imagine they're making a big-ass Dominican movie. a Disney movie, for example, a Disney character, and the main character is light skinned, we're gonna feel like, what the fuck? Most Dominican, there's a lot of light skinned Dominicans, but the Dominicans we know are black Dominicans. So I feel like,
yeah, but you see, we're still walking into that conversation where,
the conversation is relevant, because if you're going to watch a movie, for example, Peralta Project was talking about this movie a lot. He's a black Dominican, and he understands, he's from New York, so he sees the moving pieces in real life, what these people look like. So imagine going to see a movie about your people and not seeing your people. That's got to be frustrating.
Of course. That's
like going to watch a Providence movie about the South Side and only seeing the people who live in historic Elmwood. That's not the real story of the South Side. It's not the real story, but hear me out. You also have to look at the directors, at the writers. Why didn't they fill in these spots? Like it's something so, I don't want to say I'll use the right word here. It's something so specific that sometimes people drop the ball on it. You know, and in a production, it goes down. And they drop the ball on representation. Of course. But also, on that side, they might not see it at that moment till after they do it. They're like, oh, snap, we didn't, you know, because we're humans. We're all going to make mistakes. You know, however, but all those now that's the biggest detail.
But that's what I'm saying. Like there's arguments for both sides, and you know, for me to sit here and say, "Oh, he's a colorist, he's a this," I'm being lazy because I'm not trying to change that. I'm just yelling at that person.
I mean, but as the viewer, we don't have much control except to complain so that there's changes made. But how many times are we going to complain before the changes are made?
Okay, you see, I can't. I don't have the answers to that.
It's tricky.
What I'm saying is such a tricky thing where you're in a raft in the middle of the ocean. Someone's trying to save you, and
your metaphors are always the wildest.
And you're like, damn, I don't know what to do, because you know you can. It's just such a sticky situation where you don't want to.
It is, but
accuse somebody, but also you don't want to. Not, but you know what I mean? Like,
my thing is, my biggest problem with our community, specifically people, I may not be even counted as a dark-skinned person, but someone of color. My argument and my issue with our community is, if we're going to boycott this one thing, we have to boycott all the things.
Exactly.
Don't just complain about this one thing. And I understand that this might be a special case because obviously it needs to reflect the actual neighborhood. It does not reflect Washington Heights. But at the same time, how many novelas been getting away with this for years?
And nobody complains.
In
That's
fact,
what I'm saying. Like,
my mom watches the novelas and records it at the same time to watch it later. They're eating this shit up, and they've been eating it up for years. And my mom might not be a part of the generation that complains about the changes that we need to see.
Well, who's the one complaining exactly?
Black Dominicans.
Because I feel like a lot of the times, and I'm not saying just Black Dominicans, but I see some people that can't relate. Get into it.
Like white people.
And it's like, okay, I don't want to just single white people out, but some people don't understand the how complex colorism is. You know what I mean? Because it's very complex. To my white friends, I'm not white enough. To my black friends, I'm not dark enough. Just feel, imagine being in that bubble and not being accepted by neither. You know what I mean? So. You know, it's so complex and there's so many, like,
it's a big conversation,
moving parts that you got to get down to the root. You can't just pointing fingers and say, "Oh, you're colorist." That's lazy, in my opinion. You know, I can only speak for myself. In my opinion, just pointing it out and just saying things doesn't help. Like, you know, what am I doing as well to show them, like, yo, we out here. You know, what are we doing instead of just going on rants about it? Let's change it. How about
boycotting the movie? It only made $11.4 million and it was projected to make 20.
Good fucking job. That's how you teach them. I want to
watch it though.
Then watch it.
I'm going to.
Then watch it. You shouldn't feel like this is the new thing. I think we feel like we have to be a part of. And I don't want to say every movement
because it's solidarity. Like
yes, but the thing is, colorism is so complex that honestly, I don't know where to start.
You start with little things like this.
I gotta start with me letting people know, like, yo, we out here. I consider myself as a Black Dominican.
So you, as a creator, what do you think you can do to shift the representation in your work? Because you are kind of sort of like a director.
Look for people that look like me. Because I'm telling the story from my point of view. I didn't live around light-skinned Dominicans. Mm-hmm. You know, my whole household was dark Dominicans. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're actually the lightest in the house. You're a light-skinned slave. No. My brother's actually... And like my house... Yeah, my brother's lighter than me.
Well, I haven't seen Brian in a minute.
You know, they call my brother Blackie.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So to understand,
which is so racist.
But looking now, but also in Spanish it doesn't have the.
It's endearing.
It's endearing. It doesn't have that. Maybe it did somewhere down the line, but you know, right now, if you call somebody mi negro, it doesn't mean that. Yo, you're black. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know,
it's like when people call my mom negra. It's like, it's kind of like calling her baby girl.
Yeah, it's similar. Like, you know, it doesn't mean the same if you translate it.
Not at all.
But, you know, that's what I'm saying.
But the roots, we have to end it here because I have to go get our guest. But you're right. It's layered. But it has to stop somewhere.
And boycotting was the right step. You see, I'm not I can't, you know, because I've been in a predicament where I'm not too black, I'm not too white. So I see both sides of the fence and I'm like,
of course.
Okay, I can't be mad at them for missing the ball, but yo, let's teach them. Boycott the film. They're going to learn now. See if they do it again. If they do it again, you know, we'll take your word.
I say remake the movie over.
We'll take your word. It's a mistake. We'll take your word. Happens again.
We got to cancel you. Yeah, for sure.
You know, because I feel like, you know, we jump at it too fast. And like, we're outraged for a week and then it goes away.
I know.
You know, if we're going to be outraged forever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
period.
So you resolve that issue, you shouldn't, you know, let go of it. If it's really that important to you.
I agree.
You know, and I feel like a lot of people is just jumping on waves. Mm-hmm. You know, my bio says Dominican, black right next to it.
You're both.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's people don't understand that the Latino community has a crossroads, right? We're 2 things, 3 things at once, 4 things even. Like, I'm black, Dominican, and gay. Like, that meets.
Wow, that's a crazy world you're living in.
I'm living at the bottom of the totem pole. No,
and I don't mean to be funny or you know, because some people might think a certain way. Like, no, like, I'm being serious. That's a tough place to be in.
Yes, I know that. It's my reality. So I understand, but you're right. If you're gonna be outraged with one thing. And I agree, and I say this all the time, be outraged with everything. Stand in solidarity for real. No, like, you should be out there in the protests. You know how many people last year but they didn't show up. You know, I'll do it from the comfort of my own home. That's a story for a different day, and we have to wrap it up for the culture shock. But the last thing I want to say is that Euphoria season 2 is coming out, my favorite show, and I have never watched it. Yo. You will love this. I'm going to give you my HBO password. Or we could watch it together. I watched season 1 3 times. That's how good it is. Jeez. But that is it for the culture shock. And we're going to get to our guest. All right, we have a very special guest with us. As you can see, if you're not watching on YouTube, damn, I put mad chapstick on, and you're listening through audio only, this guest has, I'm gonna have to admit this. When you first asked us to be on the show, I was like, what the hell is Jimmy talking about comedy? Wasn't he just doing podcasting? He's doing stand-up. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And not that I didn't want you on the podcast, but I was just confused as to why you were like promoting stand-up. But I didn't know anything about you. He's been cutting my hair for 3 months, so he's the reason that all the ladies are on me and the fellas.
Okay.
And I'm doing a lot. I'm exaggerating. Nobody's on me. And yeah, so he is a comedian, a podcaster, a father, a barber. The list goes on.
Happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you, brother.
Banz, do you have anything to add before we start this?
You're a fan of Marvel.
Oh, I'm a huge,
that's where we connect.
Yeah. And wrestling,
as you can
I'm not so big on wrestling like that today, but
Cristina hates wrestling.
I do. I skip it every time you talk about it. But yeah, so we have here Jimmy Lucca, aka Take As Needed Podcast. Jimmy's done.
Are you still
This
using
is the second time you guys have Take As Needed on here, technically, right?
Yeah, well, now we have the real one.
Third time.
Oh, wow. All right. See you. She's
Shout out
not
to
lying.
Dennis and Jenna, though, because I like them.
I love them, too, but she's
No
not
shade.
lying.
So Jimmy is here, and he is a New York native, right? You were born and raised in New York?
Yeah, a very big portion of my life. I moved out here when I was 18. And I'm
you're a real
now.
New Yorker, because,
Yeah.
niggas say they're from New York,
yeah.
and they came here like at age 3.
I just spoke to someone the other day who was like, yeah, you're from Washington Heights. I'm from Washington Heights. And I asked her, I'm like, oh yeah, when'd you move out here? And she was like, I was 2. And I was like, yeah, you're not from Washington Heights.
At all.
I never understood that.
Yeah, like
you're not. You was born there, but you're not from there.
Mm-hmm.
Rhode Island, to be fair, is like 3 hours away. So there's a lot of, since being here, and even when I used to visit here, like I understand that a lot of like stuff, even from New York, is like
It's connected.
It's the same slang, the culture, everything. Like,
Yeah, we're like New York Junior, because we don't create the slang. We just get on the wave.
yeah.
And it's cool. It's fine.
I mean, do we have our own slang?
Cuz. What up, cuz?
Is not ours.
Like when I hear shit, like
Like
I
what-
haven't heard this in a while, but I remember when I was first coming out here, people would say cuff a lot.
Cuff.
I think that was Rhode Island either.
Yo.
Sure, definitely was in New York.
Nah, that's a Rhode Island thing.
Because I even like used to go back to New York from here, like from
And
visiting
you
my
used to
cousins.
do out there.
And
They're
I
like,
used to say
what the hell
cuff,
you
and people
doing?
would be like, "What the fuck you talking about?" And it was just a habit because I would hear people out here say it.
Yeah, that's actually one right there.
There's
That
quite a
one and
few.
cuz.
I wish I fucking thought of more, but
Custy.
Custy's another one. People don't use that. That's not from New York.
Wow, look at that.
Custy,
We're trendsetters.
cuff.
That's
If I think of more, I'll let you know. And I'm gonna like have it in the back of my mind running while this shit.
Yeah, I
happens.
can't.
Don't
I can't
forget
even
the
think of
stupid
one.
ass accent. I hate the Rhode Island
Car.
accent.
You got to go to the car.
Oh my god, yeah. It bugs me when like I see people of color do it. I'm like, oh wow, all right. You really got washed.
You really tapped into your whiteness.
Is that how you measure how washed you got?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I like y'all don't have them accents. At least I don't know unless you're tucking it
No.
away. But
Sometimes I
I'm gonna
drop
hop
it.
in the car,
yeah,
go to.
Sometimes I'll be like, come
It's not
over.
natural.
Sometimes I'll be like, come over, but not.
yeah,
like,
nah.
you
But
know?
I would even say that though.
Yeah.
I think that's like everywhere. Come over.
Come over.
I think it's the pronunciation that.
Yeah,
may
because like
change a
niggas
little
from the
bit.
Bronx drop the R's and the H's like that.
Sometimes because that's like the Italian part of the Bronx that or used to be. Now it's like a little more.
Gentrified.
I mean, and also we got Federal Hill, which talking about connections.
That
Federal
shit's
Hill
scary
for-
when you look into it.
It's
Like
very
how
scary.
crazy
It's a
Federal
pipeline.
Hill- Yeah, it's crazy.
The mob history here is deep.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
wild.
deep. But anyway, this is about you. So you came.
Chilling. This is another podcast for me.
You came here at 18, and what were you doing here at 18? Why did you come here?
I used to rap. Didn't work out.
I think we all have been up that avenue.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah.
For real? What'd you go
back
by?
in the AS220. I think if I write something, I can.
Banz, tell the truth.
What'd you go by?
I would.
Huh?
I would.
What did you go by? Like your rap name?
Oh, well, I had a whole bunch.
Yeah, me too.
I had a whole bunch.
What was yours?
Oh my God. It was Jungle Gym. That was the funniest thing. That was the fucking. I had a few too though.
Not Jungle Gym.
I was a big Currency fan, so my first one was like my very first one was my middle name is Alexander, so it was Lex Spitta with the dollar sign. Like Currency.
Of course, that's ghetto.
So, and then it ended up being Jungle Gym, and I honestly can't remember the other ones. It was just I took it fucking mad seriously, and that's what makes me laugh at it now. Looking back, when I'm like, oh, he really took it seriously, but he was trash.
You were trash?
Yeah.
For real? Can you remember any bars? Like if we told you to spit a hot,
I probably won't spit right now. Maybe if I get a couple more of these in me, maybe I will.
Then drink up.
Oh, here you go.
Did you try it or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Never. Oh, well.
You're like a big music head, so I would be very surprised if you didn't.
This is like a hidden gem, but shout out to my cousin Sha and Catherine. When we were young, we were called the Chocolate Factory. We were inspired by R. Kelly. This is terrible. And
you see, I'm learning. I'm learning what you're learning right now. This is interesting.
But it was more like just goofing around. Like I think my cousin Catherine's name was Zebra Cakes, and it was just dumb stuff.
Y'all were a bunch of Little Debbie snacks.
Yeah, and we made our own
wild.
beats. We recorded the beat,
what were you?
and then I don't remember mine.
Okay.
But I used to go by Flacita 91 back in the day.
That sounds
AKA
like an
Flaquita 91. Yeah, that was my shit. That was my identity. But yeah, rapping was not. I write, but I don't write poetry. I write like literature.
I think that's why I'm so used to writing now with the comedy shit. Podcast is not really. It's probably the same thing you guys do more or less. Like you probably have like a little key points to go by, and that's it. But it's the same. Like I don't get tired of writing because I used to try mad hard to like put punchlines and shit together, like clever shit, and it was just so stupid.
When did you realize you sucked?
It's funny because like Nino, like me and Nino used to make music together, whether he would make like beats for me
And he's obviously a genius.
Yeah, he like till this day gasses it. Like he'll be like, this nigga was nice, and I'm like, bro, like I feel like it's an ongoing joke, but he's like dead ass.
So maybe you were.
But I'm like
nice.
a crit. I don't know. I'm my own critic. Like even with the comedy stuff, I look at my own shit and I'm like, all right, I gotta scratch this and fucking do it all over again.
Did you have fans like a hype?
Yeah.
So
you had something going. You had something going.
Were you okay? If you had to compare yourself,
Name
to
a rapper you don't like you despise.
Blueface.
All right, he has fans.
Oh
So,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
Every head's a different world.
That is sick.
Here's some funny shit. So me and my boy Dennis, he used to live behind my house. You know, I grew up in both communities, in my Latino and my Black community.
And Asian too.
And Asian.
Oh,
Shout outs to my Asian friends. But when it came to music, I was heavy into reggaeton, like the tempos, the Vico C's, the Playero tapes. Like I know all of that too. Okay. And then, on the other end, I was listening to my Rakim,
which is really all still hip hop.
Which is really all hip hop. But, we obviously different cultures, different language and all that. And me and my boy was in high school. This is like back 01, 02. I'm saying my date here. We was like, yo, let's start something. So our name was Dangerous Felonies. I didn't have mine's was
wow.
felonies. His name was Dangerous, but I didn't have no felonies.
That's terrible.
So think about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like kids do it today to this day. Like I shot a dude, never shot a dude. So think about it. It's the same thing that's happening now. And we just we're too lazy. We'll start writing and stuff like that, and he would never finish his verse, so it never got further than that. But I did feature on an SMF mixtape on a freestyle. If you find that, God's good. Play it.
My little accomplishment was, and it's not over there anymore because I made sure all my shit was deleted. But my biggest accomplishment was being on like Hot New Hip Hop's like top 10 mixtapes for like 3 days.
Wow,
yes. Still accomplishment.
Hey, that's not bad.
That was pretty dope.
It's better than a lot of others that have been making mixtape for years could say. So you were probably nice. I want to hear. I'm curious now.
Maybe if like I'll ask Nino to like dig something up and I'll send it to you for comedic.
Would you ever do it again?
I mean, I technically do it whenever I decide to do a parody.
Mm-hmm. The one with your daughter, like, that one was hilarious.
I appreciate that,
and it was really good. I think you're lying. I think you were a nice rapper.
We'll see. Like I said, Blueface has fans, so
that's true.
But yeah, I came out here when I was 18. I was rapping, and I was like every fucking 17, 18-year-old kid, just like thinking like, oh, you know what, you're just rapping and you have your little like part-time job, but like rap is life. And then I grew up. So
what did you do after that? Is that when you picked up the barbershop?
Nah, I didn't pick up barbering for a little. It's funny because like when it comes to the barbering shit, I'm third generation, so my dad and my grandfather both Dominican. Mm-hmm. My grandfather owned a shop in Washington Heights, and then my dad owns a shop now in Jersey. I learned from my dad a little bit before I left, and then I came out here. I lost that opportunity, obviously, moving. And I was in the restaurant business for mad long, busting tables, and then serving, and then bartending. And then I had an opportunity to like reteach myself how to cut hair and like learn like more from somebody, and then fell back into it. And now I'm doing it full time.
That explains your love for IPAs.
Oh yeah,
that's how you know beers.
There's not
and
a lot
stuff.
of like Latinos and shit.
Not
like,
I don't know.
IPAs.
Yeah, no.
You talk to me about beers, I'm like Corona, Presidente, like.
I think I could go as far as a Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Blue Moon.
If I don't want to have
a
hangover, I'll stick to that stuff. But if I'm like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just get fucked up. I'll drink IPAs and then regret it the next day.
Oh, wow. What part of Washington, what block in Washington Heights?
So 169th, and then between Broadway and Fort Wash, and then 165th between Broadway and Fort Wash. So
since you're from the Heights, how do you feel about the Heights?
I haven't
we were
watched
just
it
talking
yet.
about it.
I haven't watched it yet. So I just lost, I lost my grandmother last
Sorry to hear
month.
that.
Like last month. So that movie was like a big deal to her that it was coming out. She really wanted to see it because she was Washington Heights. Like she literally was everything about like a older Washington Heights woman. So like I have to like muster up the strength to go watch it. But I had like a lot of family members watch it already. People like, you know, her own daughter was like, oh, go watch it. Like I watched it. So I'm excited about it. Did you watch it?
Well, the backlash is that there wasn't enough Black Latinos in the movie. Would you say that?
I saw that, and I thought, like, yeah, to me, like, Washington Heights is Washington Heights, and I also spent a lot of time in Harlem. You see more Black Latinos in Harlem than you do, at least when I grew up. And I'm assuming I don't know if the movie's, like, current Washington Heights or back then, like, based on the play and stuff, but back then, when I lived there, which was not too long ago, like you saw more Black Latinos in Harlem than you did Washington Heights. So if they didn't show too many, I mean, I don't think it's like inaccurate, but I don't know how different it is over there. To my knowledge, everything is becoming gentrified. So
yeah, that's what I asked my mom, because my mom and all her brothers and sisters were raised in Harlem, on 134th and Broadway.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I spent a lot of time literally right around there too, actually. So
yes, and she was saying like there's a lot of Black Dominicans there, but in Washington Heights there were light skins too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, but the people are not very happy about that. They were like, we need more Black people. Dominicans are black.
You know, my opinion. I was just saying my opinion is like sometimes, you know, down the pipeline of producer, writers, somewhere it gets slipped and you don't notice till it's about to come out, and you know, you're not gonna spend millions on a project where.
But to your point, you're saying that there are a lot of light skins, and you're obviously light skinned, and your grandmother too.
Yeah.
So
I don't even remember a lot. Like, I'm not saying there wasn't, But I don't know what the movie looks like, if there isn't any at all, or if there's not enough. If there's not enough, then like you didn't see a lot of Black Latinos until you went further down, like 145th, 135th, and stuff like that, 125th. So, because I
was thinking, and Young Thug got made fun of for this, but he was saying in an interview on $1 Million Worth of Podcast, he was like, when he met DMX and saw DMX with a dog, he started seeing dogs. And he was like, it's kind of like when you buy a car, you start to see that car that you bought everywhere. So I'm wondering if it's the same thing with people, because your light skin was your perception just light skin. You know what I mean?
Like even like I went to high school in Harlem, and even like in Harlem, that's when like I went to public school, middle school, public school and middle school. When I say public, I mean elementary, because that's everything in New York is like PS. So elementary and middle school was in Washington Heights, and then and then obviously I chilled a lot in Washington Heights and then Harlem. The only time like I started seeing and making a lot of like Black Latino friends when I was in high school, and even in the Bronx too. I spent a lot of time in the Bronx as well. I did my there was like a GED prep program I did over there. Same thing over there, but in Washington Heights it was like pretty dominantly. Yeah, just like light-skinned Dominicans and shit.
What we would call Hawaii.
Yeah.
So you didn't finish high school. So what were your plans? Because you were rapping.
You was rapping.
I was rapping.
You did what every rapper does.
That was the plan.
Yeah, it's funny because like, and then obviously I saw my dad making money as a barber. In New York, I knew in New York that wasn't going to be enough, because my dad was a person who always had, still does now, even though he owns his own barbershop, 2 jobs, because in New York you have to do that. And I just saw the barbering thing and I was like, oh, maybe this is something I could do down the line. But I like, for lack of a better word, I've always been a hustler. So like I remember being out of high school, I was like, when I kind of like decided like I wasn't gonna finish high school, and I was in 11th grade at the time. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking work, and that was my mindset until and rap was, again at that time, rap was life. So I was like, yeah. And then I'm leaving out the fact that I tried to be a wrestler at one point too. So
that's interesting.
Do you know Sammy?
Sammy,
what's his last name? Santo De Leon. Yeah, he's Dominican. He's flight attendant now. He has a podcast
you
too.
You gotta know.
He used to do amateur.
What's his podcast name?
I don't know.
That's bad.
He's on there with Izzy.
It's
not even that as bad. It's just like for me, like I'm so like in my lane that I kind of try to like.
No, but he's saying it's bad. We don't know the name.
Yeah, I'm fucking around. I'm a ball buster. This is probably gonna happen for the next
It's
hour.
fine.
It's all good.
But yeah, he used to wrestle and he was pretty good.
Yeah. I did it. I did it before rapping, and then I found out I had scoliosis, and I was like, niggas do not get paid enough for this shit, so I'm just not even gonna do it anymore.
Wow. So you have a crooked life.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have a crooked life.
I have a cousin who has Amy. She has scoliosis, and they kicked her out the army for it.
Yeah.
You're not like allowed to.
Why is it, to be exact? Because
you have to be physically like almost damn near perfect to be in the army. No allergies, no nothing.
So the same for
with pro wrestling, and at the time it's still pro wrestling. People think like, oh, until you get to WWE, that's when you're pro. Like you're a pro wrestler once you, even in Rhode Island, you see local ads for local shows. Those are still pro wrestlers. It's just they're not on the they're not.
It's
on
like the
that
D
large,
league, the minor league.
Exactly. You can, but that's how niggas like die. Like,
oh, that's
how, that's literally how, like, people, WWE doesn't even let people, there used to be a time where WWE would let people, like, they would tell people, yo, wrestle through this injury. Now things are so different that, like,
that's crazy.
They don't even allow you to. But back then, I literally was like, yo, my back's fucking in pain. Like, I get flipped. You know, one of those moves where they flip you over, I'm landing all crooked and shit, and it was just like not the wave. I fucked my hip up at one point. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not.
Did you have a wrestling name?
Yes, Mr. Manhattan, because I was wrestling in Jersey.
Okay.
Is it connected to
the rap name?
Comics?
No. Oh, I'm a huge. Obviously, I have like fucking have like 3 Watchmen tattoos, but
How many tattoos do you have?
a lot. I can't even.
Why I never noticed this?
So it was definitely It was definitely a little bit connected to that. I feel like, but it was also easy because I was wrestling in Jersey, and I was what they call in wrestling a heel, which is the bad guy. So I'd go to Jersey and think I was pretty much like bougie in Jersey. Like it was like, oh, fuck Jersey. It was like a fuck Jersey kind of thing. I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying? Like
That was your like persona.
Exactly. So that was fun. It was cool. It was fun to piss people off for a little bit, and then I just kept being a fan of it. And I think at like 17, 18, not to like hype myself up or whatever, but I knew that from wrestling, it was like, damn, I know like I enjoy entertaining. So, and I know I love like crowd work, I guess. Even when I rapped, I think the thing that I loved the most about rap was doing shows. Like I love that more than recording. I loved writing, but I love that more than recording. So, and more than anything really. So I think that's kind of where I found comedy. I think I honestly could have skipped rap because there's a lot of like songs that Nino even says it like back then that you listen to and you're like, yo, this nigga kind of always was funny, because some of my punchlines, it was like I was trying to be clever, but they just came out like Eminem. This motherfucker just said that. That's so I think it was, the comedy thing could have definitely been figured out sooner, but I was young, and I don't regret it because I had fun doing the whole rapping thing, and doing those shows rapping definitely got rid of, they'll never completely go away, but they got rid of my jitters that I feel like would be worse now if I didn't rap whenever I do stand up.
Like now you're just natural in front of the crowd. That's dope. It's interesting. That's an interesting story right there. It's like that stuff really doesn't even tie in rapping, wrestling, and podcasting. Yeah,
it's just I think it's only like relatable to me as, I think it's relatable as like they all relate as like as a performer.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes a lot of guts to do like all three. Yeah,
that's true. It's coordinated too sometimes, so you have to be timed on what you're doing. Your delivery got to be right.
I mean, you're seeing it even more now with hip hop artists. Like the last show I went to was Astro Travis Scott, and I think Drake was going on tour around the same time. They both had these like crazy coordinated like setups and just how they were. I think you're definitely seeing it more now.
Yeah, that's dope. Astroworld, man. I'm mad I missed that tour.
You know, something else that you and I share that you might not know.
Now you're trying to find all the things in common here.
I have a barber's license. I know how to cut hair and all that. I don't like doing it.
No,
here he go.
I do know how to cut hair.
How come?
Huh? I don't know. Like out of high school, I had my license. You know, there was a barbershop in every corner. So for me,
ask him when's the last time he used the clippers without not on his head.
Yeah,
not on your own head. He always talks about this cosmetology license, but I don't even. My nails are not done till like, where's my service?
My services wasn't offered.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not soliciting or anything. You know what I mean?
It's been a minute.
But yeah, I did that once. I wanted to be a barber. So I got to the business aspect. Like, you know, for me, it was like more like I liked the act of cutting hair.
Yeah.
Now the business was a little different.
Business is tough. Obviously, like one of the thing that's like the biggest pain in the ass to me, because I feel like I'm low key slow, and I just said that, but is like I gotta pay taxes at the end of the year. I'm so used to my shit getting taken out every week.
That's the thing that I hate the most. You have to put it to the side.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't mind dealing with people, and I get that from being in the restaurant business all those years. Like, I know there's not, and I was a bouncer too, so it's like there's not a lot, even when people are being like assholes, I know how to kill people with, you know, it takes a lot for me to like fucking completely act like an animal, you know what I'm saying? If somebody just shows up 20 minutes late and comes in the chair and they're like, nah, you got to give me more than a lineup, and they start acting up, I know how to just shut that shit down without creating a big thing. So I have patience even with the people. The thing that annoys me most about the barber industry is literally just that anything And that would happen with anything in terms of like self-employment. I feel like I would just be like, yo, I do not want to fucking pay taxes at the end of the year. Just like if there was a way to just take it out, just take it out every week, whatever.
You still sound like a rapper, because a lot of rappers don't like paying taxes.
Yeah, I guess so.
My whole thing was, just dealing with, because at the time I was young, fresh out of high school, 18 years old. I'm looking at all the competition and I'm like, I don't want to do all this. Like, this is too much.
But in between all that, something major happened. In honor of Father's Day, I think it's important to talk about your fatherhood, because you're very vocal about your relationship with your daughter, and it is so cute and honorable, which is crazy that I'm saying that, because we don't, like, mothers are expected to be mothers, and then I feel like when dads are just like, good dad, they're like, oh, a good dad, you know, because there's so many shitty dads out there.
There are, yeah.
But talk about that, like having a baby and how it changed your life.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
You're a girl dad.
I'm a girl dad. It's funny because like I did the usual like guy thing. I was like, I want a son. Like I don't want to worry about my daughter getting pregnant and all that. I want a son. That's it. I just want a son to like enjoy comic book movies with and enjoy sports with and now I like fast forward years later, she loves all that shit. But besides that, when I found out I had a daughter, like when we had the gender reveal, which is, I know that's like frowned upon now sometimes or whatever, I was so like this feeling, just like, not even when she was born, it just came over me. I was like, wow, you're having a daughter. And then when she was born, it was just like a whole other overpowering thing. So since then, it's always been just literally her first. Like if I made it like you wanted me to be here at a certain time today, and I was like, can we actually do this time so I could put her to bed? Like I want to be with her until she goes to bed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've always like I've left jobs because they were asking me, and mind you, barbershops. Mm-hmm. I left another barbershop because that barbershop was the owner of that barbershop was pretty much asking me to just make that number one. And it's like, bro, it's impossible for me to make anything but my daughter number one. Like my time with her, how happy she is, my relationship with her, even my relationship with her mother, like everything. And like me and her have gone at it. And it's like anything that involves my daughter, like I put all my energy into being great at. I feel like you could be really good at multiple things in your life. You could only be great at one thing, realistically.
I literally just said that to you. Wow. But yeah,
I feel like that's the thing that I put my energy into being great at. Like, and it's not just something that, I'm trying to be like all cute or whatever, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that's just, I think it's growing up. I mean, y'all could relate, when you grow up in like a cultural household, family is like very, very important. And it could, even if it's not perfect, you know what I mean? Even if you have like a pretty fucked up childhood.
Even when it's toxic, it's still important. It's
still important. Like, it's still like, yo, you have to make sure. And with reason, because there's times where you do have to say, all right, chill out when it comes to family, take some space, take some time. But you know what I mean? Like when it comes to your direct family, your kids, your circle, your immediate, whatever it is. Exactly. So
how did you come to the place of co-parenting? Because I know that a lot of men struggle with separating baby mama, girlfriend, mom. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys break up with their girlfriends who they have kids with or one kid, and then feel like they own that woman. Was that your problem in your relationship, or was the co-parenting just about parenting individually?
Nah, I didn't have that. To be completely, I can't come on this podcast and not bring the take as needed with me. So to be completely blunt, like when I broke things off with my daughter's mother, it was for healthy reasons. Like I felt like me and her were not our best with each other. It wasn't like toxic, but I just feel like she wasn't motivated. She was going through stuff, and I want to take like even a minute to. I was talking about it on the podcast with Sound, like.
Shout outs to Complex Ambition.
The postpartum depression shit is real. And it's not that I didn't want to be there for her through that. It's just the fact that like it went on for a while, and I felt like I mean, I even went through it myself as a man, believe it or not. And she went through it for her own reasons. I mean, women have like a billion reasons and a billion, you know, rights to go through what they call postpartum depression, between like the changes in their body and the emotions and all of that.
The life change.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I only went through it off literally like being like, yo, damn, I gotta fucking make more money. Like, what am I doing? I already feel like a shitty father. I work at a restaurant. I need to do this and I need to do that. And it was such toxic thoughts that I didn't know were toxic at the time. I thought it was me just doing the whole man thing and being like, yo, you need to like be here. And I went through it. I made the decision to put myself through therapy and shit that I never made time for before. And with her, it was kind of, and I don't blame her for it, because I think it's the way she was raised, and my parents raised me the same way as well until I got out of it. But she was kind of on that like, nothing's wrong with me, I'm good, like we're good type shit. And I feel like when you're going through shit, the best first step is admitting it and then getting help for it. There's nothing wrong with it. So that's kind of where we kind of like went our separate ways, because I was like, you know what, like watching you go through this and watching you not want to do anything about it, like I'm gonna fall into this depression again, and I can't. So we separate. And she's phenomenal. Like she's done a lot of work since then. But when I broke it off with her, I broke it off for that reason. So AKA like I didn't really want to break it off for her at the same time. So we would still have our little, what the kids call now, entanglements, even post breakup. Mm-hmm. And even then, like I hear the story, like what you just brought up, like even then there's times where like guys, if they keep fucking with their BM, or girls, if they keep fucking with their baby daddy, like they feel like they have that, like, you know, I own you, you can't fuck with anybody else. Like we would have that and we would still see other people. It was never like, oh,
so it was toxic. That's pretty toxic.
Like not because I feel like it's more toxic if like we were like, oh, you're fucking that person, like I'm gonna ruin your life now, whatever. Like we were just kind of like, we knew that we were still kind of attached to each other, but we were like technically single, so we were still doing single shit.
I see. It was more for comfort,
I guess. Yeah, that's exactly what it was from. Because I just had a conversation with somebody about this the other day. He's about to be a parent. I told him like, yo, God forbid, you know, he's going through shit. God forbid you break up. It's not going to be, I told him straight up, it's not going to be easy, like to just stop fucking with that person. Because number one, you were just with them for mad long. And number two, you have a kid with them.
You created a whole life.
So.
Wow, that's interesting.
See, I can't speak because I'm not a parent. So
yet.
That's why I'm like kind of quiet over there, because
yes.
you know, I don't want to say nothing and, you know, not having the experience to speak.
I mean, that's deep. Like, and when you, to what you were talking about, and it's commendable because you don't live with her, right? You don't have her all the time.
I have her. Since the beginning, since like the breakup. I say the beginning of like post breakup. Mm-hmm. We've literally had her like half and half. So like I have her.
Oh, nice.
For pretty much like a very long weekend, and then she has her the end of the week into Saturday. So,
but it's interesting to hear you talk about, like, basically what you're saying is a work-life balance, and you don't oftentimes hear men saying that. They're like work. I gotta provide, but you're missing those key moments. Like kids don't care about money, they don't care about nothing but your time.
Yep.
So when I see you talk about that, I'm like, this guy's got to figure it out. And I just wish that a lot more people, even women too, women do this too, would just figure out like, my kid needs me to be present, not to go out to do, and all that stuff is great because you're creating memories. But at the same time, they're going to remember the time you spent with them, not the money you spent on them.
Exactly.
So good for you, Jimmy. You're a good papa.
I try. Like I said, like you just said, it was toxic at one point, but we Gucci now. So
that's good. That's what it's about. You have to figure it out because she's gonna remember these things.
Like I also said, I feel like anybody, you gave me like a so I'm gonna assume it was the same for you. I feel like anybody, once you break up with your like the father or mother of your kid, there's that period after where
It's blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. It's a great area.
So,
But my baby daddy ain't shit, so that's a different story for another day.
all right.
And it's fine.
All right.
We're moving on.
Well, you're a phenomenal mom. So
Thank you so much. I try. So podcasting. You do podcasting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing stand-up, but you haven't, because of COVID, I'm assuming, you haven't been able to be on stage?
Yeah, because of COVID. I just started writing again. Like, I lost the motivation through COVID, and I started to write a little bit, and then the stuff with my grandmother happened, so I stopped again. And then like I kind of found that motivation again because my grandmother she didn't do gigs, she didn't have a podcast, she was just like a comedian, like in her kitchen, in the living room, at parties, wherever. So that comes from her. So like I recently, like going down memory lane and stuff, I got the motivation to like write a lot of stuff surrounding like my childhood with her. And I say with her because I was with her a lot through my childhood. Like I had a lot of I saw a lot of like toxic shit between my mom and my dad, and my grandmother shielded us from that a lot. So yeah, hopefully the stand-up stuff is gonna be happening a lot more now that I've been seeing people are outside, obviously. And yeah, I started seeing people do like outdoor gigs and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
So
That's actually really dope though.
yeah.
Especially at night. It's like a cool, breezy
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, I think I saw
set the
somebody
mood.
I saw somebody, they actually reached out to me on Instagram. They were doing it at they had a setup at like Kennedy Plaza, and then at Trinity, I think.
Trinity Rep.
Yeah. So looking forward to doing that soon. But
Yeah.
Who are your comedic inspirations?
Chappelle, a lot of the guys off SNL that I grew up watching. Current guys, like some of the newer guys, I want to say Michael Shea is definitely a big one. He's from SNL currently.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
I like his last special.
Yeah, although the HBO Max one,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen it yet. I'm such a fake like fan for that. But him, a lot of the Cali guys, like I guess like the white comics over there, like Dalia, they also do podcasts too. Like Bert Kreischer is the fucking fat dude that always has his shirt off. And Andrew Schultz, he's another
Andrew
like
Schultz.
New York native.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andrew Schultz.
I've seen him grow into what he's become.
Yes.
So for me, it's like very.
Sometimes he gets on my nerves, but I can see the common ground with you two because on your podcast, the continuous conversation you have is about being politically correct.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
And you're not politically correct.
Nah.
But I think that makes for good comedy.
Yeah, it does.
How do you feel about being politically correct, especially the time that we're in? And, you talk about cancel culture and all that stuff.
I do have that conversation a lot, right? Just because it's something that's always annoying me. I just feel like I really hope that we kind of like it gets, and I feel like we're at the extreme mark. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like things started getting very like watch what you say in 2015, 2016, around then, coincidentally non-coincidentally while Trump was going into office. And it was cool then in terms of like there's a lot of shit that people needed to get checked on, but now I feel like it's way too much. And I feel like we're kind of I hope that we're entering that phase in like our lives where we're gonna realize like, all right, now it's like too extreme, and now we need to chill the fuck out because now we're checking way too many things that we don't even need to be checking realistically.
That's so true. But I also think that, and you tell me if you agree, but I like listening to Eddie Murphy or who was very inappropriate. Eddie Murphy was very inappropriate.
You could go down the list.
I could
Bernie
agree
Mac
with that because
was very inappropriate.
yeah, Bernie Mac.
Don't you think that being sensitive is fair? Like a lot of people were offended by what they said. So I think that polishing up comedy is not a bad thing. Like I think we need to change. I think what's happening is that people are finally realizing that words actually do matter.
Yeah.
And it shifts and shapes a whole culture. And out of all that comedy came so much homophobia, sexism, sexual harassment, you know, the Me Too movement and all that stuff. So wouldn't you say it's kind of fair to switch up on some things?
I think it's fair to switch up on a lot of things. I don't ever really think that it's unfair. I think it's fair to switch up on a lot of things, but like sometimes at the same time, like this might sound bad, but like I feel like when you're going to a comedy show, expect some wild shit, but also people shouldn't. I remember growing up. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember seeing like comedians in the news every so often. I don't know if it's because I lived in New York, like the local news, and you got all those like comedy shops like downtown and shit. And there was a lot of like white dudes joking about like rape and Jews, and I just remember seeing some crazy shit every now and then. And it's like, yeah, no, you shouldn't, because with my grandmother, again, we used to watch SNL, and then all that came out, and all that was like, oh, like my grandmother was excited for me to have my own SNL, and then I would watch Chappelle at like an age where I technically shouldn't have like watched it, I guess. But
classic.
I feel like there's things that you definitely shouldn't joke about, but at the same time, just so that people aren't like pressed, you should expect some wild shit at a comedy show. Like I remember Dave Chappelle a couple years back, what was it, the Sticks and Stones special that he had, like his new,
the first one coming back?
Yeah, the first one coming back. He got a lot of shit for that one. I think he made some like trans.
You know what?
It was
it was about the bathroom
superhero
stuff. The
superhero.
Was it?
Yeah,
he made a bunch, but you know what?
The superhero that would save people, but he would, I don't know if he would do something that was like off, like.
No, I know what you're talking about.
About to say. She did make a couple like jokes.
Yeah, the transgender, but he didn't make. The thing is that I think this is the weird part, is that it's how you word things, but not only that, it's like people in the LGBTQ community are also people. So like, why can't you also make fun of those people who are just people? I don't think he's making fun of them in their lifestyle. I think he's just making light of the situations and laughing at how ridiculously homophobic people are. I don't think that I don't think he means harm.
Yeah.
You see, but that's what he's alluding to.
That's an example.
You know, we need some of that to understand people's lifestyles.
Well, that's an example right there, though. Like we obviously have the same opinion on like how Chappelle was going about shit, but you could back then. I remember a bunch of blogs coming out, and I remember a local comic who was trans. Obviously, when I was doing it before COVID, I met a lot of comics, and I met a comic who was trans, dope human being, unfriended me because I was like, oh, like all I said was like, oh, this shit was hilarious, and she just like commented all these blogs and was like, this was so wrong and that was so wrong, and I'm like, damn, bro, like I don't know, like that's what I mean. Like, I agree with you. Like for example, the best example I could come up with is like I make fun of people, period. Like different groups, but I make fun of the thing that I feel like balances it out, and I think that that's where we need to like kind of like remember that almost all comedians do the same thing, is that I roast myself too, and I roast my culture too. I've made a lot of when I was doing
shit on your own life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like when I was doing Take As Needed, like I remember Dennis, one of the moments where Dennis kind of they would make faces at me, and there was a lot of those moments was I think I made like a joke or two about like Dominicans fucking their own cousins, and like he looked at me like, damn, you really about to go there? And I'm like, yeah, nigga, I'm roasting myself and my culture and like our I guess stereotype or whatever. I don't fucking know, like. So it's like it shouldn't be. I think it shouldn't be that bad.
I think it's definitely lessons and everything, and different crowds, different jokes for different folks. Like you'll probably go to a comedy club, and the offensive jokes you have, people will be laughing. Like, you know what's crazy? When I first heard you or seen you and like found out who you were,
I thought to the show.
No, I missed it. Okay. Regina was there. I wish
you went. Regina will tell you though.
She thought it was funny. Thought it was good. It was like skits and comedy.
So Dennis was doing the skits. Jenna was doing some like interactive crowd stuff, and I was doing like stand up. And there was a lot of people laughing. But then there was like, I hate to say it, there was like white people who were like, ugh. And I'm like, I wasn't even making jokes about white people. Like I was.
We were just saying that it's usually the people that can't relate that are offended.
Exactly. I don't fucking, I don't understand.
You know what's funny? Because I was going to say that I thought you were Italian because Jimmy Luca.
So
where the heck did that name come from?
My grandmother, this is going to be I'm going to try not to make this confusing. My mom is fully Dominican. My dad is Dominican, Puerto Rican, and like a little Italian. His dad is fully Dominican. My grandmother is like, I want to say 75% Puerto Rican and like 25% Italian. Because her dad is Puerto Rican and Italian, and her mom's just straight up Puerto Rican. So boom.
So your great-great-grandfather was Italian.
Yes.
Wow.
He was also Puerto Rican. So it's like,
that's
I'm
where
not
your last name
Italian.
comes from.
That's literally like, I'm dominantly Latino, but the name, that last name being passed down
because of the Patriot.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Wow.
Now you see one thing that I've noticed about what you were saying about comedy. Going back to the comedy thing, if now we factor in that everybody's getting canceled and all that. Now, if you're really that good, you can surpass that, and use that as a challenge to be even greater.
You've seen a lot of people come back from.
Cancel culture is fake.
It is.
It's
Thank
so
you.
fake.
Wow.
I'm on the fence. I'm the guy like, I understand, but also I see where, they could have worded it a better way or said it a different way. Yeah. But I'm also like, damn.
Like, there's some things that I think you don't need to say, like the real shit in life that should just get like deaded. You don't need to say, "Oh, this person's canceled about." It's just okay,
like R. Kelly,
exactly,
or Trump,
exactly.
Like morals,
morally, if it's incorrect, then you don't have to say canceled or cancel culture. It's just that's it. But a lot of shit is cancel culture, and I hate it.
Yeah, and so we're running up on time here, but I feel like there's so much more to ask you. Like, I want to ask you about mental health. You have to come back because
I'm gonna come back. Yeah.
That's a story within itself, and I know you've been open about that. But also, when are you gonna bring the podcast back?
When is this dropping?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Why are you coming? We can still hear you. We can hear you and we can see
fine.
you.
When is this dropping? Tomorrow. All right. So soon, like literally a week.
No
a
pressure.
Week or two soon.
No pressure.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about it. I was gonna like let you guys know. I don't have an exact date, but if not this week, next week. Just be on the lookout.
What I did want to ask you, what happened with Sin Vergüenza?
So Sin Vergüenza was kind of like
here.
it is, yeah, like inside of me, but it was kind of like my pet, like Sin Vergüenza, the name Sin Vergüenza, and it's a dope name, was kind of like I left Take As Needed, and it was like my like, all right, you guys weren't letting me do this on a podcast that I thought we were all gonna be like this on. I'm gonna do it here, and this is the name, and this is like me letting you guys know that I'm still doing what we were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like my, I guess, being a little bit petty with it. So once I found out, then obviously I have listeners of all cultures. So I'm like, I can't keep this name. People don't know what the fuck it means. I tried to throw a little translation thing in there and it didn't work. So I changed it to Jimmy's Diner because it's filmed in my fucking dining room. And then I found out that like permanently done, like no breaks, no nothing, that Dennis and Jenna were done. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll take my name back.
That's fair.
So,
by the way, the name and the logo is so fucking clever. Like when I saw that, I was like, wow, they're coming out the gate strong.
Yeah.
Competition.
The logo idea, the name and the logo idea came from me, but Cruz put it together.
Shout out to Cruz. I saw Cruz the other day with his head popping out of Black Sheep's window. Yeah. He was out there.
Oh,
lit.
really?
Yeah.
I love that window that you could do that. Like if you see somebody outside, you could fucking, yo, what up?
Black Sheep was lit this past weekend. But yes, tell the people where they can follow you and how they can listen to your podcast. And you have Patreon and all that stuff.
Patreon,
which
yes.
I'm subscribed, but shade, no shade. I'm going to unsubscribe until you come back.
We're again, this week or next week for sure. I might have like a little bonus, thing because of that. Because I know that Patreon subscribers, like nobody has unsubscribed, so just keep it. I might throw a little bonus one in there this week just because of that.
You have to.
Sorry about that, but and on Instagram, NY Made Jimmy, Take As Needed Pod, I think, and the Patreon is patreon.com/Jimmy Luca. That's where you're gonna have all the, like, just fucking leave your cancel culture shit at the door if you're going in there, because that's where we get pretty crazy. And we have the bonus content. Like when I'm gonna have you guys on, obviously, so there will be like extended content with the guests on the show. So I'm excited about that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. We're gonna head over to our
it up with us, Jimmy.
last segment.
So you already know what it is. It's time for my favorite part of the podcast, where we share, a song that we've been listening to audibly, or even a podcast. It doesn't necessarily need to be a song, an album. It could be a book, long as it's audible and people can check it out.
Word.
We put them on, and that's what Pass Me the Aux is about. So, Cristina.
This is the first time we have it with a guest in a very long time, and I know you're probably not prepared, so think of something quick.
I have it already, actually.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So my guest, did I pick this one? No, we didn't record last week.
Is it the new French Montana song?
I hate that song. No, my pick of the week is We Made It by her, whose album I have not finished, but so far it's incredible. So shout out to her.
Good album. I actually heard the whole thing.
I'm gonna listen to it.
It's good. I just feel like she didn't need that many songs.
She didn't at all. She did the most, but it's technically her debut.
It runs.
How many was it?
21
or 22, something like that.
Chris Brown.
It's technically her debut album, though.
Okay.
She's dropped EPs, LPs, mixtapes, so which was stupid because she's like 10 years in the game. But I passed the aux to you, Banz.
So I'm gonna go with an artist that I've been listening to for a while from DR. His name is TV Guns. TV Guns in Spanish. And
SDB, what are S? Never mind. Just go ahead.
TIVI Guns.
Got it.
And I've been listening to this guy for a while, but I've noticed the influence that our hip hop has had on him. Mm-hmm. So I can pinpoint and this is from.
You can hear
I can hear the influences, and there's a song Patillitas de Colore that it's like over a jazz beat. It's like a simple boom bap with a saxophone playing. Dope song, and he's talking about pills and stuff like that, and the way he's talking about it, it's like he's talking from different angles. It's almost like when Nas spoke about the gun and you didn't know it was a gun.
It's metaphoric.
Similar to that. And he's talking about the usage of that stuff, and like it's pretty deep.
Okay.
And he does dembow, so also, hearing a dembow artist slow it down a little bit and actually see, him actually put things on a record that's like, wow. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Patillitas de Colore.
Nice.
Jimmy, what you got for us?
You guys did music. Cristina, I agree with you. I did not talk about mental health on this podcast, but I'll be back. But to leave you guys with something for your mental health, I'm gonna go with a book, an Audible. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Oh, that's a good read.
Interesting.
You read it?
I'm halfway through.
I gotta check it out.
I got you.
It's a short book.
I got Audible too, so
yeah.
Just play it whenever.
He narrates it, and he's good because he's like very like he puts emphasis on the fuck because he curses a lot in the book, but he just because he puts emphasis on like what you should or should not care about. Like the whole book is like we put too much energy into certain things in our lives, and certain things are more important than others, and including like social media and money and like. It's amazing. It's life-changing. It's a short, like, meaningful read that'll change your life. I hate to sound corny like that, but
we like corny here.
If I didn't name the book, I would have said the French Montana song, but I'm gonna just drop that.
I like that song.
I love that song.
Cristina,
but I'm a Coke boy forever, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there it is.
Well, that was Pass Me the Aux. Cristina, do you have something for us?
The only thing I have is get your tickets to the Shenanigans Return, the cookout of 2021. If you're in Rhode Island and surrounding areas, come through, get your ticket. The link is in my bio. I am hosting, so of course you gotta come through because I'm gonna be acting up.
And I'm grilling.
Yeah, are you really?
I am.
Oh my god!
And I'm shooting.
Look at that.
I'm grilling.
We out here, baby.
I'm telling jokes behind the grill with my best dad fit. I might buy the fucking Nikes, the Monarchs.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. That's a little Caucasian, but whatever.
Love that. So thank you for tuning into episode 119 of the Sparkle Podcast. I am Cristina Sev.
You already know it's your boy Banz. Jimmy, thank you for stopping
I'm lucky
by.
as fuck. That's my name. This podcast is dope. I'm coming back.
Thank you, sir.
You.
All right.
So you already know what it is. Your boy Banz.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. We out.